Do machines or free weights build more muscle? Stay tuned and find out. First off, let me preface this by saying I still do some of these free weight movements from time to time, but as I switch to these alternate versions I'm going to show you, I've just learned to master those movements so much better than the free weight version, which has just led to more muscle building over time than the free weight. So the free weight movement will build muscle, but for me it's just the machine version has been a lot better for me over time. First off, we have the granddaddy of all chest exercises, the bench press, and the first couple of reasons why I don't prefer the bench press over the machine version I'm going to show you is just injuries. People tearing their pecs, messing up their shoulders, their elbows. So injuries come first as far as why I don't like it. The next being, as you get stronger and stronger in the bench press, you're going to need a spotter, and sometimes you're not always going to have a spotter to spot you, pull that weight off you, so you can't really go as hard and as heavy as you need to if you don't have that spotter. The third reason being that you can't get as good a contraction as the free weight movement, or the machine version I'm going to show you. So that's three good reasons right there why I tend to stray away from the bench press and do this other version I'm going to show you instead. Instead of bench press, let's work a hammer strength chest press. So the reason I like this one is each arm is isolated from the other, so you're gonna get a really good, so the bench press, the bar just comes straight up. You're not really getting those hands kind of converging. This hammer strength, you get a little bit of convergence, so you almost get the sensation of training with those dumbbells. But unlike training with dumbbells and bench press, when this gets heavy, you don't really need a spotter. You may need a little help pulling the weight off if it gets heavy, but once it gets heavy and hard, you don't have to worry about that bar coming down your neck or anything like that and then collapse on it. You can just kind of let that weight go. Another thing I like here is it makes it much easier to control that weight down negatively and then driving it up. So keeping that weight under, or that chest under tension, is how you grow it. Keep it under tension and press. It's just much harder to do on those dumbbells and flat bench because you're laying flat on your back, and it's just a much scarier feeling to let that bar come down controlled on your back. For legs, let's look at subbing out the barbell back squat. So the problem with barbell back squat and why I can't build a lot of muscle with it is a couple of reasons. The first being I'm glute dominant, which means no matter how low or what my form is here, my glutes always tend to take over, and I can't really build my quads with it. Okay, so we want to build an overall good leg. So if I'm just doing this and my glutes are getting all the work, it doesn't build my whole leg. The second being, as I start getting heavier here, my lower back, no matter how good my form is, my lower back tends to get injured. So I can only get to about 315 on this before my lower back starts to take all the load. Excuse me, all the load. My glutes take all the load, but then my back starts to take all the injuries. So I tend to stray away from the barbell squat and do what I'm going to show you next. So what I'm going to sub the barbell squat in for is a hack squat. So the reason I like the hack squat, number one, you notice my back is supported. So that means my back, no matter what I do, it's going to be really hard to injure my back. No matter how heavy the weight is or how bad my form gets, my back is always supported. Number two, the reason I like it is it's going to take my glutes out of the action. So I know I said we wanted well-rounded legs, but my glutes are going to get worked on everything else. So I really want to isolate my quads here. So what I can do on this thing that I can't do on the barbell squat, put my feet low on the platform and really focus on getting a deep stretch, let my knees come past my toes and then driving up. So the back squat only lets us do this motion. This hack squat lets me put my feet low, stretch my quads out, and drive up. For those reasons, this is definitely going to build more muscle on your legs than a barbell squat. All right, for back, let's look at the one-arm dumbbell row. So don't get me wrong, I still throw these into my program once or twice throughout the year when I really want to push the weight heavy, but I've spent years perfecting my form here to know how to fit my back. A lot of guys don't know how to fit this exercise in their back, and they're doing pretty much this. They're going to be pulling here, they're going to be pulling to their chest, which is working all biceps, or they're using too much weight and they're just rotating their hips and pulling. Now the correct form here, just so you know, is elbow comes back by the hip, comes down. So it starts at chest and drives there. So I've perfected that movement over time. And when it is in my program, I can go heavy and really work my back here. But most months out of the year, I'm doing what I'm gonna show you next instead. So what I'm subbing in for the dumbbell row into my program most months out of the year is a single arm cable row. And the reasons I like this one is because I'm upright, so my being bent over, my limiting factor is not gonna be my breathing. So when you're doing dumbbell rows, sometimes that weight gets heavy, it's hard to breathe. So my breathing is not gonna be a limiting factor. I can really hold my body tight in this position and drive my elbow without having to worry about that weight pulling me down. I can really post up here and pull and drive that elbow with heavy weight. And the third reason is I can get a super good lat contraction. You can probably see it in that video. This lat is contracted hard. That's much harder to do with that dumbbell. So you can overload correctly with a lot of weight here. You're not bent over, so your breathing's not gonna be your limiting factor, and your form is just much tighter on this cable row. So this will build a lot more muscle in that dumbbell row when done correctly. All right guys, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I have tons of videos in my library on problem solving a lot of bodybuilding things that come up as far as building muscle, sticking points, how to grow certain muscle groups. So subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let's look at replacing the lateral raise for shoulders. So just like the dumbbell row, this is probably one of the best shoulder builders there is. But just like the dumbbell row, a lot of people butcher this form. So I got pretty good form here. Now what a lot of guys do, they'll pick heavy weight, and you see them, they put the weight in front of them and they just do this. They're just lifting with their traps. Shoulders aren't doing a whole lot. So if I was coaching somebody that's kind of a beginner or just getting into working out, I'll work on those with them, but I'm also going to show them this next exercise as a replacement to kind of grow their shoulders while they're learning their form here. So what these cable laterals have the advantage over on dumbbell laterals with is, first of all, there's constant tension with these cables pulling back down. So I have to fight that resistance from these cables back down instead of just swinging the weight up and back with those dumbbells. So I got to raise up. Those cables are pulling me down. So there's constant tension on those shoulders, which again is a key point to growing any muscle group, is constant tension. So that's the first advantage. The next one is it makes it hard to load weight up here and use bad form, because you can see once I start using bad form, these cables are going to hit into each other. It's just going to get hectic. So you really got to keep your form tight. Right there, just raise up under control. You got to put your ego aside and do proper form with these cable laterals, which again, over time, is going to build more muscle through your shoulders than those dumbbell laterals will. For biceps, we have pretty much what's considered the best bicep builder of all time, the barbell curl. So the problem with me and a lot of people with this barbell curl is once you start getting heavy, the form starts going out the window. So you go from targeting your biceps to targeting your whole body. So this exercise tends to lend itself to ego lifting for a lot of guys. And with the advances in equipment we have, like this exercise has been around since the 50s, but with the advances we have in equipment now, there's much better options to build your biceps with machines. My favorite one being the one I'm gonna show you next. So the cable stretch curl has been my go-to bicep finisher for almost 2 years now. So I like these because the stretch you get when your elbows are behind your body is insane. So one of the key factors to growing muscle is to work that muscle from the fully lengthened position. So coming behind your body like this is just something the barbell and dumbbells just won't let you do. So that fully stretched position is why it has the advantage over dumbbells and barbells. And also, again, like we talked about with those cable laterals, that cable constant tension pulling down right in that bicep is another advantage that barbells and free weights just don't have. Every time it's going to be a better option than a barbell to build more muscle. Now let's look at the old school tricep builder, barbell skull crusher. So the problem with this one, just like the barbell squat and the barbell bicep curl, is the stronger you get, the more weight you need to target those triceps. But the problem here, the more weight you use, the more you're just going to feel it in those elbow joints. So for me, I did these for the first 8 to 10 years of my bodybuilding, and my triceps grew, but not at the rate they could have grown, because my elbows, I had always had elbow tendonitis from working this angle here with heavy weight. I was so concerned with putting so much weight on there and trying to get stronger on the movement that I wasn't really feeling my triceps, and my elbows were just getting wrecked. And there's a lot better options, including which I'm gonna show you next. Stub in cable skull crushers instead. There's something about these cables, I don't know how to explain it, but even when you go heavier, it's just much smoother on your elbow joint than that free weight. So, and again, this is what we talked about in the previous other exercises with cables. These cables just provide a constant tension that the barbells, dumbbells, free weights just can't match. So there's something about just coming down slow and controlled, getting a deep stretch, and then driving up and getting a good squeeze on contraction. Something about doing this with a cable machine just provides the stimulus that free weights just can't provide, even with heavy weight. So for me, this is going to build a lot more tricep muscle than the old school barbell skull crusher. All right, guys, that's all she wrote. So if you're working one or even all of these free weight movements I showed you today, and you've noticed that your progress has stalled on a given muscle group, try subbing in the exercise I showed you instead for about 6 to 8 weeks. Use perfect form, good reps, good weight, and I promise you, you're going to see that weight or that muscle group break out of that plateau. If you like this video, guys, subscribe to the channel. As always, stay swole.